this episode of the Whiteboard Game, the boys talk about their top 200 albums of all time.
All right. This is I believe it's the fourth episode of the Whiteboard Game now.
Yeah, number 4.
Welcome back. Very happy to have you back. Unless you haven't watched the first 3, in which case do that after you've listened to this.
Where have you been?
Oh, wherever you want. You don't have to listen to it whilst you're not doing anything. That'd probably be quite boring. But
It's a hard sell.
We're like 30 seconds in and I've already, unsolved the podcast, basically. Anyways, this is the podcast where we talk about music, innit? And we talk about music we like, and we share it with each other. And hopefully we're going to do that. We'll see what happens, though.
Yeah.
I'm here with my friend. What's your name? I've forgotten it.
Yeah, great friend. My name is Frederick, or Fred, or the man.
I've heard some people call you Big Boy Banquo as well.
Yeah, some people do call me that. Big Boy Banquo. I'm not going to get into the context. I'm just going to let it hang. It's just going to hang. Big Boy Banquo. You either know what Banquo is, or who Banquo is, or you don't.
If you know, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, my name is Chris. I don't know if I've said that yet. We're going to get into the game
I've
in a
heard
second.
some people call you Crunk.
Some people have called me that. Mainly me. But
or
yes.
Mr. Mood.
Mr. Mood, yeah.
Yeah.
Dr. Chris is another one as well.
Dr. Chris, yeah.
Although that is literally just by me. Nobody else will sign off my credentials. So if you do want to sign off my credentials, do please get in touch.
If you do happen to have the facilities to approve sort of medical diplomacy, then do it for him.
Get in touch.
He deserves it.
Yeah. We'd love to hear from you. Okay, so I'll tell you how the game works if you've forgotten, or again, if it's your first time listening. This is a game where we share each other pieces of music, 10 to be exact. We play about roughly 30 to 45 seconds of it, and then the other person has to guess. You have to guess the artist's name, the name of the song, the genre, and the year. We like to be decently lenient with most of it. So we'll see how lenient we become as the game goes on.
Well, this is it. No matter the things that we may say in haste or in jest, it is always a friendly and chivalrous affair, this game.
Yeah.
I feel like me especially, in past podcasts, I can probably make out that the final scores matter a lot more than they do. I think it's just a bit of fun. It's just a bit of fun.
And if you play it as well, please play it for fun. If you enjoy the competitive aspect of it, that's great. But what we get out of it is the amusement more than anything.
Yeah.
It's just an easy way to talk about music as well.
Yes, very true.
I think is the best thing about it. So yeah, this week or month rather, we are doing a. We always sort of theme it, but this month's theme is to do with our sort of top 200 albums.
Yeah.
Of all time.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about it. I think because we've been doing this game since 2020 with each other.
That was 4 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, back when we were uni students. And what I'm trying to say is we've sort of exhausted a lot of music that we absolutely adore.
Yes.
And so we tend, that's why we say top 200, because a lot of the time it'll be stuff that's towards the bottom of that range.
Yes.
Not less interesting, because we're massive enjoyers of music, so we always find something to talk about.
Yeah, completely.
And hopefully we won't find it difficult today to do that.
Well, it's why we do this one in comparison to other themes regularly as well.
Yeah.
We give it enough space so that it will still be fresh.
Yeah.
We sort of do it once every... What's always the third one?
Once every 3 months.
Yeah. So it gives us enough time to find new things to talk about. Whilst also it's sort of a nice refresher, hopefully for a listener as well, in that it's like, oh, this is basically what our tastes are at the moment, and this is how they shape.
True, yeah.
I think that's interesting to track.
Yeah, exactly. So. Shapes always change. Tastes always change. I said shapes always change. I think that's...
Write that down.
Sometimes true, sometimes not true. That was one thing we did want to, well, maybe ask. We presume that we're not going to get many responses, but we were intrigued as to how well doing our top 200 will work every 3 months.
Yes.
Because we think as a podcast it might work a bit better if we do more themed ones maybe. And instead we do the tops the ones maybe like every 6 months.
Yeah, expand it a bit.
Or something rather than quarterly. But if you have a mouth and like using it, do let us know what you think about that. I think that's things we're happy to do. We've both got a joker, which will be something outside of the top 200. And yeah, I don't think I have much more to say.
Other than Chris has been travelling, guys. He's been travelling.
Yeah, sure. We can talk about this for a little bit. I went to Madrid with some friends a couple weekends ago, and it was for a city which, from what I gather, isn't terribly touristy. It was...
We get about 2 Spanish listeners going, what are you talking about? It's inundated with tourists.
It was really good. I really enjoyed it. This was something I was telling Fred, that these sort of experiences, at least for me, I take so much out of not just doing things new, but doing them with people who are really close to you, just really good friends who you just like spending time with. I think for me, it makes it so much better. You know, you can go somewhere on your own and experience things for yourself and have that special sort of connection with it, I guess. But yeah, I just find it so much better with friends, and it was so much better with friends. Went to the Real Madrid stadium. We're all into our football, which was great.
That's why he called it the Real Madrid Stadium, guys.
I've just realised, so it's the Santiago. Well, it's in. I want us to, because the metro station was called Santiago Bernabeu.
Okay.
So I want to say that's the area.
Okay.
And then they call the stadium the Bernabeu, whatever. I've probably been feeding very incorrect information there. But
if there are Spanish listeners, I'm afraid I'm a bit scared that you are going to get trampled.
Yeah. My apologies if that's the case. I don't wish to be trampled, so please be lenient. I don't have much more to say rather than it was nice. Ate some good food, spent the time with some good people, did some fun things, and now I'm back.
Yes.
And we resume Idiotwin.
Yes. Speaking of, I will say this very briefly now before we start. I will probably say it at least once more time over the duration of this podcast. If anyone happens to be around Soho on the 14th of April, there is a gig, and that gig will feature Idiotwin, and the venue is the Spice of Life, and it's in Soho, as I said, and Idiotwin are in it, and it's on the 14th of April, and we're playing music, and you're welcome to come. It would be nice to see you, even though we don't know what you look like, so you won't be recognised. Maybe that's a plus.
If you wish to stay anonymous, it's the perfect opportunity. Did you mention it was on the 14th of April at 7 p.m. at the Spice of Life and Idiotwin are in it?
No, I didn't. Thank you for mentioning that.
Well, there you go.
Thank you for mentioning that.
If you need to know that, then there you go. It'll also be on our social media.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be too hard to find.
No.
We don't get many imposters, as expected.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
I don't know who'd want to imposter us, but...
listen, when we're big and rich and famous, everyone will want to.
I still feel like even then people will go, it's just
not worth it.
It's just not worth it. It's just not. I can imposter so many other people. These guys, it's not worth it.
Tell me I've got to do a podcast every month about music. It's not worth it.
Yeah. Okay, shall we get into it?
Yes, sir.
Get straight going. I want to say that you guess first.
I guess first.
I think so.
Okay.
Let me take a quick gander at last time we did it. Yes, you do guess first.
Okay, as I am typing this out, because we write our answers out into a document and then we normally paste it into a chat where we can both see them. And, well, it should be paste, but I'm always very stubborn and I like typing it out fresh. And for some reason, I just won't shake that habit. Chris has been very into it recently, They Might Be Giants. I think this is a They Might Be Giants song. I haven't listened to them, but that's how the Whiteboard Game works. The more that someone gives extracts to them, logically, the more you should be able to recognise elements of their sound, right?
And
that's one of the strengths.
Do you have a good reason for not listening to them yet?
I'm working down my own list chronologically, as in things that were put on that list first. And unless I suppose I wake up one morning, I just go, I need to listen to these guys. I think now I have become wed to the idea of having no expectations, just doing what the next thing on the list is.
Okay.
So then I don't know. Oh, I could love it. I could hate it. Who knows? Maybe I will get to them. I don't know. It's not an indictment on your powers of persuasion over me. But yeah, I thought it was them.
Cool.
I thought it was called The Long, Long Trailer. I did say to you that every single lyric in this extract you gave me could have been the title. It was one of them. I said 2005. Geek rock or indie pop, and we guess the ranking in these top 200 games of where we think this album is situated. You like these guys a lot, so I'm thinking maybe one of them is catapulted up to about 56th.
Fair enough. Well, you're on the money with They Might Be Giants. I feel like as much as I want to use them now,
I keep forgetting that they were that long ago.
They're OGs, yeah.
When I say that long ago, that makes me sound like I have no concept of time. It's not that long ago, but it's longer ago than I thought it was.
But no, you're completely right. I don't know how much more They Might Be Giants I can play without risking multiple points lost. But no, this is them. This is the first track off of their debut album, self-titled. The track is called Everything Right Is Wrong Again. New wave pop rock. I'll give you geek rock and indie pop. That's basically very close.
Thank you.
1986 was when it came out. As I say, this was their first album. So generally with their most popular stuff, you're looking late 90s. No, late 80s, early 90s, sorry.
So what you're saying is it was them and the Smiths kicking it. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, well, the Smiths kicked it so that They Might Be Giants could run with it.
Oh, yeah.
This track is, I don't know how you can dislike it. I listen to it and I think, it's so fun. There's so much energy. I think that's the thing with They Might Be Giants is they have so much energy, and I think a lot of times when you listen to music, you might think that it's nice, but I just don't think there's energy there.
More passion.
Exactly, yeah, and that's one thing that I think I can massively commend them for is that. So far, I've got 3 They Might Be Giants albums in the top 100.
Bro! They're building a little monopoly there, yo!
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much more are going to go in because their best ones are undoubtedly their first 4.
Okay.
And then after that, it wanes a little bit. Like for me, it's worth listening to because you always find a gem of a song in each of them. But I think that their early phase was undoubtedly their creative peak. Yeah, I mean, I've played you. What have I played you? I've played you songs from Lincoln and Flood before. This is before that. This is sounds a bit more dated because it's very new wavy.
Sure.
It's very sort of in tone with that production. I think because it's their first one, they didn't have much of a say when it came to production. They sort of made the songs, and then I'm not sure. I think it was probably on some sort of indie label at the time because they signed to Elektra a bit later on for I can't remember which album, but yeah, but that's the production is great and it adds a lot of uniqueness to it amongst a lot of their other stuff, which I mean pretty much all their stuff is unique from each other really. So what I'm trying to say is listen to the album. It's really good. This track's great. I think I've mentioned Put Your Head Inside the Puppet Head before. Put your hand inside the puppet head. I think I probably phrased it well. That's brilliant. Don't Let's Start might be my favourite They Might Be Giants song. It's hard, but there's just so much good stuff on here. Rhythm Section 1 ad is really fun. Youth Culture Killed My Dog.
That's a great what a title.
She's an Angel is one of the more simpler ones, but you can't help but love it. I've come to the conclusion that I just do really like how this was written by John Linnell. I just love how he writes songs. I think he's absolutely brilliant. His lyric writing is so unique. It just has its own flavour, its own tone. His delivery is brilliant. He's a brilliant singer. Just fantastic. And I'll leave it there because I could probably go on for hours, but I'm not going to. So instead, I'll give you 2 points.
Thank you very much. It is always very special to find a band, an artist, and anything that immediately sticks in this way.
Yeah.
It is very special.
Yeah. I think I'm not sure if it was on a different game, but I was telling you that the only band that sort of really happened to me recently is Ween, and that was in 2021?
A while ago.
Yeah, so it does happen rarely, but it's such a joy when you find them because you think, and with a band with as great a discography as theirs, they've made so many albums. You think, there's just so much music here to plunder. This is going to be so exciting, and I'm sort of halfway through that now. I'm just starting on their 2000s albums, but as I mentioned before, there's always going to be gems there, even if the album isn't that great. So, yeah. Let me see. Oh, yes. You made the mistake of playing my favourite song by this band.
I knew it was an alley-oop. I didn't realise it was that much of one.
Yeah. I think I've used this in a game before.
No, you're not allowed to say things
that's
like
amusing.
that. You're not allowed.
You gave me a King Crimson extract. Seems to be on a bit of a King Crimson binge at the moment, which is really cool. I've only listened to this album. Song was I Talk to the Wind, I do believe. Prog rock, 1969. That nice sort of early prog sort of stuff. Very beautiful. I presume that it's, boasting a fairly respectable position on your top 100.
Okay.
So I guess number 58. And hazard a guess at the album I think it's off of. In the Court of the Crimson King.
Well, look, you've definitely got 4 points. I think that much is certain because it's. I knew you'd listen to this album, and I knew that, as I say, I knew that it was a bit of a layup. I didn't realise how extreme of one it was, I suppose. But yes, it is King Crimson. It's I Talk to the Wind. It was released in 1969. Prog rock or art rock? You said prog rock. Off in the Court of the Crimson King, correctly. This ranks 131st.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Which is still very respectable, in my opinion.
Yeah, of course.
It's my favourite album of theirs.
Oh, I see. I was expecting you to say, but this one is so much better.
I know. I think you always want to sort of have that little curveball. Everyone says this one is, but no, Discipline is the best one, and Discipline is great, but it's not my favourite of theirs. It is. It sometimes what the Horde have voted as the best record of a band is sometimes the best record of the band. It's just good. It's just good. Yeah, excellent album. Very proggy songwriting, all a bit weird.
Yeah.
Instrumentation-wise, very adventurous, very thick. It fleets between sounds and sonorities and timbres and all of this. It's lovely. It deserves its reputation.
Yeah.
Controversial statement of the week, though.
Okay, here we go. I'm going to prepare myself for this.
I've listened to as many King Crimson albums as I want to now.
Sure.
So in my eyes, done and dusted. Okay. Genesis is still the best prog rock band that England has ever produced.
Wow.
And perhaps the world has ever produced.
Wow.
Pink Floyd, they've got the reputation. They've got some whoppers of albums. King Crimson, similarly. Who else can I think? Yes, you know. Anyone else I can think of?
Jethro Tull, were they prog?
Yeah, definitely. Canterbury Scene, all of that. Give Genesis more respect. I will no longer hear these things about Dark Side of the Moon. Fantastic album. You have not listened to Selling England by the Pound. You have not heard Tony Banks, his piano opening for Firth the Fifth. You have not heard I Know What I Like in Your Wardrobe, that one. There's spoken word lyrics in there about him being what do you call it? Mow the lawn. Lawnmower.
Lawnmower?
Yes, a lawnmower. Me, I'm just a lawnmower. You can tell me by the way I walk. What's it mean? Anyway, Genesis are still the best. King Crimson, very good album. I've made this about Genesis, which seems unfair. Robert Fripp, excellent guitarist. One of my favourites, I've decided. He's weird. But yeah, 4 points. Well done.
Thank you, yeah. I mean, I think from an unbiased point, I think there's definitely nostalgia talking there for you, but I also do think that you do genuinely believe that Genesis are the best.
I do genuinely believe that, yes.
Yeah.
Like, based on quality, there is a lot of nostalgia there, but based on quality, I genuinely believe that Selling England by the Pound is the best prog rock album of all time.
And I can't comment on that because I'm very unversed in prog. You know, a couple of Pink Floyd albums, one King Crimson album, no Genesis album. So...
Because no one talks about them. It's always Crimson, it's always Floyd and all of this.
It's fascinating because Genesis definitely had the more successful solo acts come out of them, I guess. So it's interesting that...
100%. Yeah.
You know, they're not as talked about.
I think one of the issues is when people think about Genesis, they think about the pop era, and so I suppose that sort of overshadows maybe for some people the prog era. They forget that existed as well.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Anyway, I didn't know who this was. This was a female lady. Your second extract, a female lady.
Yeah.
This was a female voice. Your second extract.
Can a female be a lady?
I think we're getting into an uncharted territory here.
Idiot swim philosophical comment of the month. Yeah.
Could become political at the same time. We need to be careful. Female voice that I didn't recognise. I took a stab in the dark. I don't know if you know this name. I said Leanne Le Havas. Is that
interesting? Yeah.
She did a cover of Weird Fishes.
Yeah.
And I also heard this lady sing the words "All I Need." So 2 and 2 to get a Radiohead song, female voice, done.
Yeah.
It's not all I need.
You thought she's done the 4th track of In Rainbow? Surely she's done the 5th.
Yeah,
Come on.
Surely she's done like the even sexier In Rainbows track. Surely.
Yeah.
2009. Sound like around then, but could be earlier. I said sort of soul R&B fusion. It was quite a slow mover. 191. I think this is a low one, but we'll see.
Okay. Well, I haven't got the copy and paste ready, so this is by, you'll recognise them. This is by a band called Air.
He's done it again. He's done it to me again.
This is by a band called Air, a French duo. Well, they're not really a band, they're more of a duo. But if you remember, I used these last week, and I used a track of theirs called Sexy Boy, which, if you remember, I don't know why I said it like that, but
Sexy Boy.
If you remember, it's not like this track at all.
No, which is why it's caught me. Yeah.
This track is called All I Need. You're completely right.
Come on.
It's actually the track directly after Sexy Boy. So you get Sexy Boy All I Need. I didn't really know genre-wise to put. I'll give you what you've put there.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, fusion is fair.
Well, but it's so wishy-washy, that, isn't it?
It is, but 1998 was the year it came out. I put indie rock, indie pop for genres. I wasn't really sure.
Mm.
I was like,
it is a tough one to figure out. Yeah,
like, it feels reminiscent of even some trip hop stuff. But
it's not shout.
I don't think it's trip hop.
No,
it's just got a backbeat. That's all it is. Number 134. This is Moon Safari.
It's quite high.
It is. I do think it is a very good album. It's got a lot of diversity, a lot of just nice songs on there that are just decent to listen to. Not too long. Doesn't overly overstay its welcome. A lot of the tracks are quite long, but they got nice riffs that you enjoy jamming to. This is by a singer called Beth Hirsch.
Beth Hirsch.
I don't think she's done a lot else greatly notable outside of with Air. Sorry if you have Beth Hirsch in your listing going, why are these guys tarnishing my legacy? I've won a Grammy. Come on.
Has she?
I don't know actually. She might have done, she might not have done. Let us know, because I can't be asked to look that up. Yeah, it's nice. It's like a singer-songwriter, guitar-y sort of song, but Air put their sort of spin on it. I think one of them plays bass and one of them plays keys. Okay. So I'm guessing that's what they add to the track. You can hear a nice bass line in it, and some nice sort of e-piano going on. And obviously they make, big production. So, well, not big production, but it can often sound quite big with the sort of synth and stuff that they use. So I'm sure they had a meticulous input in this song, because a lot of time it does just sort of feel like they've just sort of produced this. It doesn't really feel like it's their song. I feel like it's Beth's song, but it's on a good album, so I'm not complaining. Do get to this if you want. It's a nice album.
It is on my, I don't know if you, well, of course you do, my mythical sort of YouTube core music to listen to, watch later playlist. Yeah. It is on there.
Okay. Cool. Well, I hope that you get to that soon. But what I'll say for now is 2 points.
2 points. I'm seeing a trend. You say they're French?
They are French, yeah. They're a French duo, much like a lot of other French musicians.
They always come in pairs.
They do, yeah.
This is true.
I think when it comes to French duos, they're... and this is probably something someone's going to say no to. I feel like they're some of the more diverse. Because
I don't think that's unfair.
I think a lot of other ones have their sort of general style. Justice, for example, are immediately recognisable when you hear their stuff. Daft Punk, somewhat similar. I think genre-wise, they probably push it out a bit more. And I haven't heard enough. I think Breakbot is French as well. I haven't heard enough.
Yes, I think they are.
But yeah, I mean, when you get a massive synth-heavy track, and then straight after you get like a singer-songwriter indie sort of tune,
that's a lot of fun.
There's going to be a decent amount of range. But for the next one, I thought that this was The Magnetic Fields, not Stephen Merritt, because I do believe that he gets other people to sing some of his songs on the album, which is nice. As much as I like his voice.
I do like his voice, yeah.
And can sing a lot of his songs because it's in a nice bass register that's very comfortable for me.
Yeah, very nice bass register.
This was by somebody else who asked to sing the song. I remember looking it up, but I can't remember those guys' names. I did mention to Fred that I was listening to this album on the way to his, and I do think that I listened to this song, but I can't remember the name of it.
Oh, it's not Clean Sweep, lads. Okay. I've got away with one.
But yeah, I guess it was called You Wanna Go for a Ride. So I think, he said something about the ugliest guy or something like that, and I thought, I don't remember there being a song called that on the album. I want to say this is more likely. Indie rock, 1999. A lot of people say they're synth pop, which I find very weird. They've got synth poppy songs, but once again they're diverse enough to not be sort of boxed within that label. And I guess 110. I thought I thought this guy probably likes it a decent amount. Maybe it's repping a pretty high score.
I do like it a decent amount. It is The Magnetic Fields. What else have you got a point for? Definitely got a point for 1999. That's correct. Indie rock, I'll probably give that to you.
Thank you.
Yeah. This one was called The Luckiest Guy on the Lower East Side.
Oh, yeah.
And I rank it 155th.
Okay. Twee pop, yeah, that makes sense.
I have come to the conclusion on a few things about this album. Firstly, because we've spoken about love songs before, they can be oversaturated, blah, 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 they can be a bit dull. This is, well, for obvious reasons, but as well, it does hold up quality-wise. This is the Bible of love songs, I've decided. This is, if you ever need a bit of a lesson on how to write an effective love song, one that isn't going to drive you to sleep as well, listen to this. 5 or 6 tracks will do, you know? Yeah. The variation is insane. Again, it would be, you've got 69 songs on there. Yeah. But the main thing I've realised is that, and this very rarely happens, that, of course, I keep saying there's a lot of content on this album. So, you know, it's a bit unfair if you compare it to other albums in that respect. But I very rarely listen to one single album by an artist and immediately go, oh, I think this guy is one of the best at X. This group is one of the best at X. Yeah. He is an insane songwriter. This is the conclusion I've reached. Because it's this beautiful simplicity that he writes with that makes key lines even more impactful. Yeah. Because you're not trying to sort of dredge your way through metaphors and all of this. So when you are listening to I Don't Believe in the Sun, which is a very, very warming track, and then you sort of get this 7th chord and he just goes, what's it, astronomy will have to be revised, which within that context, you just go, oh, I could cry. It's so lovely. Yeah. What a lovely sentiment. Yeah. Listen to that. You'll know what I'm talking about when it gets to that lyric. But this one was one that stuck out to me immediately because instrumentally it's so peculiar. Yeah. You've got this sort of bouncing synth noise. Don't know what it is, like the and this lovely sort of like 2-note, almost like toy piano melody or something. Dun, 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 dun. And I love this section because you get 2 choruses before this, and you get the, because I'm the luckiest guy, and it's about how, oh, you like other guys, but I'm the only one that can drive a car. And that's why I'm the luckiest guy, because I get to drive you places. Yeah. But then you get the bridge, which is sort of going, oh, so you share secrets with Lou. That's all right, because we have secrets too. Well, only one. I only keep this hunk for you, this junk for you, whatever the word is. Okay. He doesn't like the car, but he keeps it just so he can drive her around. And then the 3rd chorus changes because he goes, instead of luckiest, because I'm the ugliest guy, dun, 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 on the Lower East Side. Yeah. But I got wheels and you want to go for a ride. Yeah. It's so clever. It is. It's so, all of the songs are so intelligently written. I love Stephen Merritt. He famously also did a cover of, I can't remember which Peter Gabriel song. And I remember listening to it. It was my first ever experience of Stephen Merritt, and I thought, this guy's a lunatic. And having now listened to 69 Love Songs, I can say, yes, but a very clever one. Yeah. I love this song. It's great. A lot of fun. It's so much fun. It is. I'm going to give you 3 points.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was going to say, it's interesting that you mentioned the Bible of love songs, because they've got a song on the album called The Book of Love.
The Book of Love, which
I think sentiment-wise is also very amusing, because it feels like it's a song about, you know, you can read a lot about, or even, you know, see a lot of things about love, but ultimately it's what you feel.
Exactly.
You know, so some of it is, Book of Love is, I can't remember what he says, but
the Book of Love is long and boring.
Long and boring, no one can lift a damn thing. But I love it when you read to me. Yeah, it's clever and it's potent, and he manages to say a lot within his few words. And
That's it. Everything is so well organised and structured that everything that needs to have a big hit does. Yeah. I would potentially put The Book of Love as like a top 3 love song of all time.
Oh wow!
I think it is so effective. Yeah. And if someone did sing that to me and mean it, I would probably die. So there you go. Imagine writing that for someone. Like, ooh. Yeah. I'm not convinced. I'm still not into love songs like that, but it's very good. Anyway, this is your third extract.
Mm-hmm.
I've gone for a classic Fred Filler answer TM, where I can't think of exactly who it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I said Flying Lotus. I say it every time. But then I've titled it, in order to salvage some self-respect, or maybe DJ Shadow, or even Dilla. That's what I've titled it.
Fair enough.
I said 2013, but again, it could be like 90s, I don't know. I said Plunderphonics, or instrumental hip-hop, or experimental hip-hop.
Yeah.
I said it ranked 144th.
Oh, okay. Well, what I think I'm so glad about this musician is I always manage to somehow surprise you with them. This is Knowledge.
You know what's annoying? Is that was like the other option I had in mind. I forget it ranks that high.
This is it's a song of his called Looking Up.
Looking Up.
He likes to name his thing stuff weirdly, but I said hip hop. It's slightly vaporwavy, so I just put vaporwave, but I'd have given you a lot of different stuff. You got the year spot on. It was 2013. Yeah.
We're salvaging some here, lads. We're scraping it.
This is from his compilation album. Please count that as an actual album. Anthology, which I've got a number 18.
Very high.
It's incredibly high. And to be fair, I don't think I'm going to do it justice when I'm speaking about it now, because I've said so much about it. So I guess I'll just tell you a bit about myself. So when I was doing my A-levels, I used to listen to a lot of Knowledge as sort of like study music. It helped quite a bit. And it's a lot of the reason why I really like Knowledge to this day. But at the end of the year, when it came to my Spotify Wrapped, it like second place wasn't even close. Like, I listened to so much Knowledge that year. And one thing I'm glad about is if you go and rate your music, I think Anthology is actually a really highly ranked like compilation album.
I will tell you.
It's one of the highest, I think. Which to me is like, it's gratifying that, other people, even if it is on Rate Your Music, other people do think that it is really good. It's just flavorful. There's a lot of different stuff, lots of different sampling. I think I might have said this last time. I love how he samples. I think he's one of the more unique ones to do it.
Oh, it's quite well rated, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Respect to other people who like Anthology by Knowledge. One of the better Anthology albums, compilation albums. As I say, I don't have too much more to say about it other than he will always hold a special place in my heart.
It's important to have musicians like that. You don't necessarily have acres to say, but you know what they mean to you.
Exactly,
sort of
yeah. He's sick. I think he could do with more recognition. He does stuff on Twitch, I think, which is interesting. Yeah, I'll leave it there. I'll give you 2 points.
Thank you.
Nice.
I told you I could see a trend. You see, I don't feel like I've been caught out by Knowledge. I think I had it in the back of my mind that he was a valid option.
Yeah.
I think there are still just about 4 or 5 electronic musicians in my mind that I just play a game of bingo with every time I get that sort of beat.
It does amuse me that it feels like whenever we come to Knowledge, your fortune slips and you end up guessing someone else, like Flying Lotus.
I know.
Is, for me, points-wise, is great, but for you, I'd imagine it's very frustrating.
See, it's frustrating in that sense, but at the same time, I'm not sitting here feeling like, oh, why do I not know the difference here or anything. I think I know similarly, like, the sounds between both of them. I just get a bit confused. So I'm not sitting here thinking what's wrong with me. I'm not distressed, is what I'll say.
They're not awfully different, especially some of Flying Lotus's early stuff. Like Captain Murphy and that sort of thing. For the next one, let me remind myself of it. This was a hard one to sort of pinpoint. It reminded me of Grizzly Bear, so that's who I put.
Sure.
Although I'm very not confident with any of this. I said Whistling in the Dark, which is a homage to a They Might Be Giants song.
Okay.
Art Pop, 2007, and I put 143. No real gauge with that guess, other than if it's off of one that isn't Vector-Est, I presume it's probably around that sort of ballpark. But, yeah.
I am not sure whether you will be incredibly impressed with yourself or quite frustrated.
Okay.
It could be one of two. It depends how you're feeling today, basically.
Okay. I don't know how I'm feeling, so but we'll know once you paste a message.
Well, it is the grizzly bear sound.
Oh.
But it's not grizzly bear.
Yeah.
It's Department of Eagles again.
Yeah.
Which is the offshoot project between Daniel Rossen and Chris Bear, i.e. two members of Grizzly Bear.
Yeah.
This is called Classical Records. 2008, you're a year out. So quite good there. Chamber Pop, I'm going to give you that.
I don't know, but Chamber, that's them. Like,
I know, but
distinctly. I don't know why I didn't put that.
Don't convince me to not give you the point. Don't do that.
I just thought there's interesting instruments. It's got to be artsy, surely. But
I'll give you 2 points.
Thank you. I've managed to win you back with that last comment.
No. I don't want to be cruel, basically.
Appreciate that.
I ranked this 178, which is good considering that it was. I've listened to this album a while. I listened to this album a while ago, and for a long time it wasn't on either. And I re-listened to it, and it did shoot up about like 150 places or something.
Wow!
So 178 is good for this.
Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah, of course.
I don't have much more to say about it. I just love everything Daniel Rossen does. I've already said this on the other podcast. The way he writes, the sounds he combines, the atmospheres he creates, the way he plays the guitar, the way he sings. I want to be Daniel Rossen. And this is my favourite track of this album.
Yeah.
It's so spooky. When you listen to the whole thing, I was very cruel. There is, like, the first minute is the lyrics, about 2 minutes long.
Okay.
First minute is the lyrics, which does say Classical Records in it a few times. But I thought, if I choose that, I don't give you the best bit of the song, which is this grand, like, piano weird conclusion thing. And I thought, I have to go with my heart here and not my head. I'm sorry. But this is my favourite track of the album. I really like it. It's only 2 minutes. It will not ruin your day. Listen to this one. That's generally all I have to say, I think.
Cool.
Grizzly Bear and its members still yet to produce a single album which isn't great. That's what I'll end on. 2 points.
Thank you. I have just realised that in the epitome of stupidity, I haven't been jotting down my points.
Oh, okay,
so I'm
I
to
think
look back on the previous one. So I got 4 for the first.
I think it was 4-3. I think it's you're going down.
Oh, okay.
4-3-2.
Well, that's not very good. I hope that I don't get 5 zeros.
Well, no, this is it. We've got our own trends going on, both of which are somewhat alarming. Okay, so for your fourth one, I didn't know it was all backwards. Literally, it was all backwards. It is all
backwards. Yeah. I haven't, done a naughty here and just given you a backwards extract. That is genuinely how the song sounds.
Yeah. Oh no, but I've just had a thought.
Okay.
It's too late to change it. No,
I'm gonna say. I'm pretty sure that whatever you put, you're not going to get it.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Okay, thank you.
So don't.
No, that does help me.
Tear yourself up inside.
Is that the name of the song or something?
No.
Okay. Right. I said what I initially put. Part of me just now thought, what if this is another really weird wean-off cut from the pod or something? Which wouldn't be impossible. But I said spiritualized. I just kind of said something.
Yeah.
I said written in reverse, which is an homage to something later in my game, which we'll get to.
Cool.
1997. I said indie rock, space rock, just because it's backwards and that's kind of cool. Or experimental pop. And I just went flat bang 150.
Cool.
But maybe this is a joker, I don't know.
No, so this is I highly doubt you recognise any of this. To be honest, I didn't really when I first found it. So this is a song by a band called Miracle Musical.
Now this is new.
Although I think for a lot of it, they go by other things, and I'll get into it.
Okay.
Coincidentally, I would have also accepted you said Tally Hall as the answer.
Oh my goodness me! I recognise this.
I didn't when I first saw it, so I'm impressed.
Chris, I think I've listened to this.
Do you think you have?
Wait,
Really?
no, hang on. I don't think I've listened to the album.
Oh, okay.
I've listened to the closing track before.
Oh,
I recognise the name
wow.
Dream Suite in C major.
Yeah. That's a popular one, I think.
Can't remember what it sounds like at all, but I know I've listened to it.
I mean, I can't remember what it sounds like either, so don't worry. This is called The Mind Electric, which is the only reversed song track in this album. It amuses me that they went for one, but I was unsure what genre this was initially, but then I looked it up and it said rock opera, and I thought, that's so obviously what this band are. Rock opera, electronic. I think that's very much what Tally Hall are as well.
Yeah, I have heard of Tally Hall. I'm looking at them now. Yeah.
2012 was when it came out. And I have this at 187. It's off of an album called Hawaii Part 2. The only reason I know about this is because I've recently discovered there's this person on YouTube who does tutorials on how to make banners with how to make albums with Minecraft banners.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's really cool.
That's cool.
And this was like the one that I came up to, and I thought there's quite a few that I just haven't noticed, but it seemed quite popular when he came up to it. So I went on Spotify and I thought, this has a lot of listens.
Yeah,
this is really popular. And I had no idea what it was, so I thought, okay, I'll just listen to it one day. It's not terribly long. It's very rock opera-y.
Yeah.
So if you don't like rock opera, it's a bit hard to get in. I mean, I don't like rock opera, but I think what drew me to it so much was it's so pristine, the production is so clean. I think for me, it's like looking beyond the genre and sort of saying there is just a lot of creativity here, and it's very clever, and I think it's done really well. I've only listened to it once, so I don't remember much of it. I just put it on here because I thought it's different. It'll be something to talk about. It's sort of interesting. I've never heard of Tally Hall, and they seem quite popular. Maybe it's more of a States sort of thing because they're an American band. But, or maybe it's more of a theatre kid thing, and I'm not a theatre kid.
I'll talk to my friends. I'll find some people.
I'm not sure if you've seen...
No, I haven't. No, go on.
So it's a bit of a shame, actually, that you haven't seen. There's a video on YouTube of like a sort of Shia LaBeouf sort of musical.
Yeah, sort of thing. The one where he stands up at the end and just starts clapping? Is it that one?
Yeah, it's that one. Yeah. And it's by a guy called Rob Cantor. Okay, he's one of the members of Tally Hall.
Well, that's just quite silly, isn't it?
Which is interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've elected that this is now silly music. That's it.
Well, it amuses me because you think, oh, there's actually things that I've seen before that connect to this.
Yes,
it's interesting.
The music world it looks big sometimes, but it's not as big as you think it is.
Exactly. Yeah, it all connects somehow. But yeah, it's an interesting listen. I'm sure there's a lot of people who really like it. I thought it was all right. Again, it was mostly the production and just how clean it all sounds that really impressed me. But if you're really into your rock opera, this might be one of your favourite albums. It might be really up there. But yeah, I'm not going to say much more than that. And instead, I'll give you a point for experimental pop.
That's very generous.
I wouldn't say generous. I'd say it's definitely experimental. It's all backwards, mate.
It is all backwards,
and
yes.
It's poppy, so...
Well...
It's popular, so it's pop. That's what a friend of ours would say.
Yes. He wouldn't say that nasally. That's not an insult to you. You're listening. Say that
nasally.
To be honest, I think he's one of the people who will be listening when this has come out.
Yeah.
So...
Shout out to you, Tom.
Yeah, big up, Tom. Thus ends my streak of 2 points. Not in a good way. We've gone down. But, yes.
At least it's ended. Maybe you'll be able to get more next time. So
yeah.
Well, seeing as I've gone 1-3... What am I saying? Seeing as I've gone 4-3-2, I presume that I will get 1 on this last one. Because I didn't really know what it was. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously post-punk, right? what they call it, cold wave or whatever. But I think people just call Molchat Doma that. I don't think that's actually a thing, but
that's probably an internet genre term, isn't it?
Yeah,
cold wave.
Exactly, yeah. It's quintessential post-punk. It's a kind of post-punk you hear and go, that's post-punk.
Okay.
It's that sort of, that bass line sort of stuff. Very Peter Hook-esque. But it was a female voice and I didn't know, and I was trying to scour my brain for bands with female singers and trying to think of them. And none were coming to mind that sort of sounded like this, so I guessed Boy Genius. I presumed that maybe Phoebe Bridgers isn't the only one who sings in Boy Genius. Then maybe this might be them. I presume it's somewhat popular. Maybe it isn't. I guessed it was called Error. I've made a massive error by not really knowing what this song is. And we'll inevitably get probably barely any points. Post-punk 2015. I guessed 187. Weirdly, is where I ranked the last
cool.
one. I didn't
Not
intend for that,
yeah.
but that's just sort of what happened.
So, this is a band.
Cool.
A band that my sister really likes.
Sorry.
Well, you haven't said you hated it, I suppose. So, so much so that she, I don't know how recently, but recently went to see them live.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're remembering anything, any past conversations?
I can't remember their name, but I think when you put it, I'm gonna, things are gonna click, basically. I see. Oh, do you know what? Yeah.
That
makes a lot of sense.
The band Men I Trust.
That's not the one I was thinking of, but...
Oh, okay.
But yeah. No.
It's actually, I quite enjoyed the way I just said, this is a band Men I Trust, because the opening, like the introduction of this album, which is fairly long, is sort of just kind of laid back jazz pop kind of vibes.
Right.
And then her, the lead singer, she comes in and I can't remember her name. She comes in and she just goes, "You are listening to Uncle Jazz by Men I Trust." And then that's the introductory track. That's it.
Oh, cool.
This is Men I Trust. This is called Say Can You Hear, according to my sister.
Yes.
She says this is one of their most popular songs.
Cool.
And I get it, because it is vibey, it's great. And when I first listened to it, I couldn't really make out, because it's the style of music, you can't really make out the lyrics, obviously, because it's all a bit washed out. But when you actually pay attention, I like what's been laid down there. Okay. It's good. It's about trying to sort of take control over your life, but you're just getting more basically upset because obviously you can't in the way that this character she's talking about wants to.
Okay.
It's becoming quite toxic sort of thing. I like the message. I like it.
Yeah.
And this was definitely the highlight of the album for me. It is my Joker, so it didn't sort of like dazzle me, but outside the top 200, it's one of the better ones. It's still quite good. Very chilled vibes. This is like, it's the kind of band that you wouldn't mind if you're at a house party and you walk into a room and they're like setting up their guitars and everything. It's just like, not that we really attend house parties like that.
We just don't attend parties. We don't get invited. So
no.
If you're hosting a party, please do invite us.
Yeah. Anyway, if you were to, if you see some random guy picking up an acoustic guitar at a party, you're going to go, "Oh God, no, please, I'm mid-conversation. I don't need to hear you play something really dour." I don't. But if these guys saying, I'm just like, immaculate, excellent. I'm going to feel at home here.
Okay.
So Say Can You Hear, 2019. I said bedroom pop or psych pop, and the Joker. Now,
firstly, I find it amusing that I said quintessential post-punk, and it's not one of the genres you put.
No,
I think that says a lot about how much I don't understand post-punk, probably.
But it has got a punchy bass line. I don't know what to do here, Chris.
I mean, it's just whether or not you feel like punishing me for saying quintessential post-punk.
It's not a punishment. Don't say this. I'm going to have to give you a donut. I'm sorry.
That's crazy. Okay.
Oh, is it?
No,
Have I done something really unfair?
I think it's post-punk. But it's up to you. You're the one giving the point.
No, okay. Right, let me think about the song. Because it's got like a synth line counter melody, which is I have a point. And don't ask me to change it. Say nothing. Have a point.
Can I have two, please?
No, absolutely not. You can have a point. What'd you get the second one for, you silly man?
Wheedled that something out there. Yeah. I was a bit out of the year. Pity point, sir.
We know what the rules for years are. We know. Take a point and leave my sight.
I told you things might get ugly. I said they might. We might get very hostile when it comes to points.
Give it another sort of 2 or 3 rounds. I would have called Chris ugly. He would have called me fat. It's just all going downhill.
Well, we might still do. Don't count us out yet.
We can get very tense here.
Yeah.
Your 5th one.
Yeah.
I still don't know what they were saying. So I've tried my best to put it into English. I know we had a chat last game where you said, hopefully, now that I've given you this extract, you can properly identify these guys' sound.
Yeah.
Either way, I've still put guided by voices for this. I said, it sounded like he was saying, I can't remember whether it was like the television says or Tina says. Something sounded like that. I said Tina says 1990 punk rock.
Cool.
176th.
I'll type that in wrong.
This is quintessential punk rock.
It is punk, and it's decently quintessential. You've probably heard of them before.
Sure.
Band called Wire. British band called Wire.
I actually don't know if I have, to be honest.
You may recognise the album cover.
Okay, let me have a look.
I listened to it. This is my Joker.
Cool.
I listened to it recently.
Yes, I do. It's
very popular. A lot of people really like it. I think it's a brilliant punk album.
They are very popular.
It didn't leave much on me, but I don't think that's anything on them. I think that's, it's just because I'm not a massive punk head. That's all. If I really like punk, I'd probably love this song. The song is called Ex Lion Tamer. He doesn't say it in the song. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, one of them, is it?
Doesn't say it in the song, but what he does say in the song that I find amusing is he says, "Next week we'll solve your problems, but for now, fish fingers all in a line," which I think is beautiful. There's something so lovely about it.
Yeah, something very real.
Yeah. This makes me laugh. Oh, it's such a good line. Yeah, punk. You could have hazarded. You could have, wheedled out post-punk in that as well. I think, to be fair, 1977. It's only post listening to this album that I've realised how much I hear like Blur and like early Radiohead. In this. Even in like some of like the weird ad libs that he'll do, it feels very sort of like early Tom York sort of stuff that he'd do. You think, man, this guy was doing it in 77. Like it's clearly it's clearly very British, is what I'm trying to say, I think, and that's
talking about fish fingers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's got that similar sort of. I guess with Guided by Voices, it's sort of lo-fi.
Yeah.
And with punk, I guess you've got a sort of lo-fi. Well, there's more. How would you say? Lenience on the lo-fi aesthetic with punk, in that it's not meant to be polished.
No, it's not, exactly.
So it's a good guess.
Thank you. Glad I got the genre, guys.
Yeah. I was looking through my recent faves playlist and found this and put it in.
There you go. Simple.
And he's saying, "Stay glued to your TV set." TV.
Right. Okay, there you go. There you go.
Yeah. Good song. I'll give you 1 point.
There you go. Starting to get a bit gruesome here,
going
guys.
all over the place.
You see, there are many albums like this where I recognise the cover, have no idea what they sound like, and they'll just pop up one day in a game like this, and I just go, "Oh, that's that then, is it?"
Yeah.
I now suddenly feel less compelled to listen to it than I once did. No offence to you, Wire. You're probably a very good band. I'm just not that punky either. I will listen to it.
Exactly, yeah.
I will listen to it.
It's one of those ones that's so big, you probably should. You know, I trust that you will, but for now, fish fingers all in a line.
Fish fingers all in a line. That is an Amnesiac lyric. That
It's so
yeah.
good, isn't it? What else was I gonna say? Oh, well, I mean, I've seen them in like YouTube punk documentaries, so I think that's why I knew of them. Like, they're not as big as the Sex Pistols, right?
Well,
but
few people punk-wise are.
yeah. So your fifth one. It reminded me of a musician you've talked about a bit before. Sure. I thought, you know, it makes sense that you're going to use them in a game, you know, talk about him a little bit and the ways in which he likes it. I thought this was Thomas Forjak, musician behind a lot of Amanita design games, which we both enjoy. I made a random guess for the title. I said Fishing the Qubit Fishies. Video game music / electronic, 2012. I said number 92. I don't think it's off of Machinarium, but I know that's around the sort of area you've got that soundtrack on your Topster. But yeah.
So, I apologise.
Sure.
Because this is like one of my YouTube ones.
Oh, okay.
I apologise.
That's all right.
But I want to include it because I like this one. It's nice.
Of course.
Especially this moment I gave you, where it's all sort of like quite muffled, and then suddenly it just expands into almost like this gamelan-like piano ostinato and stuff. Yeah. And when I was on a walk listening to it, that moment happened, and I just sort of had to do a, you know, like, hello.
What happened?
This is I'm afraid I don't think you were ever going to get this as one of them. It's a man called Adam Bossage. The album is called Structures Without Rooms. Great title. Great art. Really like the cover. It's called Blanked Out. I think very interestingly, the title for each track makes up a poem, which is interesting. So,
right, yes.
That's why it's lowercase.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense. Yes.
Very recent as well. I want to say June of last year.
All of his art is really good. Just looking for him now.
So 2023. I really struggled to nail down a genre on this. Ambient chamber music, post-minimalism. I saw somewhere.
Wow, that's like
because minimalism wasn't enough.
Yeah. The only gauge I have for post-minimalism is the Steve Reich brand of post-minimalism, which is very much sort of stacked chords, I remember.
Yes, but this is not that. It's much more complex.
It's much deeper than I once presumed, post-minimalism.
I love Steve Reich. Sorry. I love Steve Reich. Yeah, and I just put fusion again because I didn't know what to say. I will give you electronic because there's definitely a heavy electronic influence throughout the album.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's just another one to add to the weird instrumental ambient collection. Yet another recommendation from me down that road. It's a good one. It's a good one. Like it's really varied as an album. It moves through a lot of different sections. The closing track is really beautiful as well. It's a trip, but a nice one. So I recommend it. I'm going to give you 1 point.
Thank you.
Genre.
Just glad it's not 0.
Still yet to see one.
Very true.
But I'm feeling I'm going to put in a good effort here. So, this was heavy, man.
It's interesting, yeah.
This was heavy. And I'm waiting for you once again to sort of go, oh yeah, this is another wean offcut from the pod or whatever.
It does sound like it could be, to be fair.
Don't say that. Please don't say that. Well, I'll start off by saying I thought this was your Joker, but that's gone. Because I thought, when is Chris going to listen to something like this? This isn't Chris. This isn't me either. I don't know if you remember when we did the this is not one that we recorded, the album artwork game.
Oh, yes.
And I'd had that Paysage Diva one, which was really heavy.
Yeah.
But I really liked the album cover because it was very atmospheric.
Yeah.
Not an album for me, though.
Neither of us are metalheads, really.
What's it? Well, I don't know if I'm going to get 0. So I said them because it's the only kind of ballpark band I had to aim at.
Yeah.
I came up with just the most metal-sounding thing I could come up with on the spot, which was an engulfing carapace.
Wow.
Just sounds a bit...
That's very metal, yeah.
Doomy, doesn't it?
Well done,
It's in 1984... and I said progressive death metal. This is quintessential progressive death metal, and I've already said it was what I thought was a joke originally. 0 points. Let's go. Line me up. Slide it down the bar.
Well, I think what I want to say first is it amuses me how it feels almost off on an island. Metal is from a lot of other music.
Oh yeah.
It feels so incredibly distant.
Yes.
And even when it comes to like genre fusion sort of acts, it feels like very rarely do you see them do it with like metal. This band, comparatively, manages to do it.
Okay. Oh no! What does that mean?
This is... I don't suppose you've heard of the album Flood by Boris.
It's so close to being the Joker as well.
Is,
yes, I have heard. I've heard of Boris in general. Yes.
Yeah. No, this is... This is their album, Flood, because I think they're a Japanese band.
Yes.
Very highly rated album, this. This is from the third part of the album, Flood 3, eloquently put. I said drone metal, post-rock. As I say, sort of combining sort of different things. 2000 was the year it came out. Number 195 was the time that I put. The ranking I put, rather. Sorry. This was a bit like the first time I listened to Death Consciousness. This was one that I ended up putting on the bottom of my topster because I thought there's enough interest there to want to come back to it.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily like it like loads on first listen, but I think it's interesting enough to keep on there so that I remember it and get back to it at some point. Why is it not on Spotify? A lot of their other stuff is on Spotify. I've just put that in there real quick.
Spotify.
get it on Spotify, so I can put like the 30-minute long tracks on my
put that in the shuffle.
What much do I have to say about this album? It's what my experience with drone is small, but from the stuff that I've liked, it's been... I remember I went to a drone concert with my uni friends. I've been to a drone concert, when I was at uni with my friends, because one of our lecturers, I think, was talking about it. It was one in Islington in London, and I think the other just thought, it might be nice to just go to one. It might be interesting. And we went, and it was really interesting. It was very long. Yeah, I say very long. Other concerts are very long, but because it's drone, it feels long. It feels long, yeah. But it was interesting because the guy was, I think it was like some sort of organ, but the way he was playing it is he was drawing out all these interesting harmonics, and things were changing over time, and there was so much intrigue you get from not really knowing what's going to happen, the musician not knowing what's going to happen. He's just playing a drone. When it comes to this album, it feels like drone... this is probably going to get people annoyed if they like this album, but it felt more like drone was an excuse word.
Ooh.
For things repeating over a lot of time.
Can't see it. I'm stirring a pot. You can't see it.
And it's like for the first track, for example, it's an interesting little guitar riff, and they do this thing where they increase and decrease the amount of delay. I think that's interesting. But again, once you know what it's doing, the amusement just goes. Then you think, okay, that's just what they're doing. If I'm sat there listening to, some guy playing an organ and his harmonics are going through, I'm sat there going, I know this guy doesn't know what he's doing. Yeah. Basically.
Rare occasion where that's a positive in music.
Exactly, yeah. He doesn't know how... Well, he knows how he's making the harmonics, but he can't control it.
Yes.
He's just sort of letting it happen. Whereas when you listen to this, I think like they know what they're doing. They've added some delay and they're bringing it in and out. So I didn't get a whole lot of enjoyment out of it, mainly because of that. The most sort of enjoyment I got was the extract I gave you. This is the part where basically for like the first half of it, it's like all a lot more post-rocky, more in line with like Godspeed You Black Emperor or something. You get some nice guitar riffs.
Yeah.
They draw out, you have long sections. And then you get to this bit, and this whole time you're thinking, this has got the drone metal tag on like all the stuff you look up for it. Why is it called drone metal?
Yeah,
and then you get this, and you think, oh, I see. That's why it's been called
nice
metal.
To meet you,
because this random metal bit has come in here after I've listened to like a post-rock album for like 30 minutes. Which is still interesting, but it feels very surprising. Like if you didn't know that this was a drone metal album, you'd be like, where has this come from?
Yes.
This is this isn't to say I dislike it. It perplexes me, and I think it's meant to be a perplexing album. It's meant to be an album you listen to and go, this is interesting. This isn't really something I've heard before. I don't know if I like it or not. It's meant to make you question that, I think.
It's probably the purpose of a lot of drone music, to be honest.
Probably, yeah. Probably.
Challenge what is music, what is likeable.
Yeah, precisely. That's as much as I got to say. It's probably one that's big enough to where you might end up listening to it.
Yeah, I think they are somewhere on the list. It's so long.
But when it comes to post-rock, I'm still more of a Godspeed kind of guy.
Yeah, that's fair. Respect that.
Yeah. I'll give you... it's not death metal. It's not death metal.
It's not. No.
It's
not death metal.
I'm presuming based off of what I think death metal is, and probably the moments of death metal I've captured in my life. So I'm probably going to give you a donut here.
Look at what you actually going to give me.
Do you know what? Because you gave me a point earlier, I think it's only right that I give you a point here.
If it's the wrong genre completely, then,
It's this...
Look, I'm saying no more. You make your decision, and then we will move on.
Oh, I feel so conflicted. The truth sayer in me is going, don't give him a point, it's not progressive death metal. But the diplomat in me is going, but he's given you a point before, and you were so cocky about it being a post-punk song, and he's been lenient to give you the point there. So, you know what? I am a diplomat. I'm going to give you a point.
Well, that's what's happening.
That's what's going to happen.
That's what's happening.
And all you people listening going, you fool! Why have you given him a point for that? Play the game.
Play the game. You form a bond over a music game through 4 years of doing it, and then you be here.
Play the game, and you can see if you feel the same when it comes to giving points to people. Because I feel very lenient, you might not feel very lenient.
It's not about the competition. It is a competition, but it's not about that.
We are getting very into it, though, so maybe there is a bit that's about the competition. But I don't know. Anyways, next one. This was your guy.
Yeah, my
Peter
guy.
Gabriel.
My PG, yes.
Firstly, I'd like to, shout out Peter Gabriel for having a musical style that feels very distinguishable.
Yes.
Like you listen to like the start of any song, and you think the melodies, the harmonies, the instrumentation, like all of this is very Peter Gabriel.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I think you can't say that I don't think you can say that about a lot of acts.
No.
That's what I'm trying to say.
No.
So fair play. I said it was called The Engine.
Mm-hmm.
I said this was art pop, synth pop, 1987. I thought, you might have just decided to put So on there. you might have just thought, let's talk about my favourite album of all time. So I said number one.
So
it writes itself.
This is Peter Gabriel.
Yeah.
This is art pop. This is off an album that Chris came with me to watch live.
Oh, this is his new one.
This is off his new one.
Wow.
That we did see live last year.
It did, yeah. It was very cool.
I don't know if I've ever said this on a recorded podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I love Peter Gabriel. He is my favourite musician. That will never change.
Yeah.
I will find other remarkable musicians. I will discover Nick Drake. I will discover Radiohead. I will discover Grizzly Bear, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
They are all magnificent. They are all very special to me. No one will ever be Peter Gabriel. He is my numero uno.
Day one.
He is my day one and all the way back in reception, all the way. Yes, this is off his new album I.O., released last year. I finally figured out what to do with it. Basically, this is why I'm putting it in here. It is his lowest ranker that I have at 165.
To say that it's still in your top 6 is pretty impressive. I mean, he's your favourite musician, but
he is not. I think there is maybe only a couple of soundtracks by him that aren't within my top 200.
Yeah.
Yes, Peter Gabriel, Road to Joy, 2023 Art Pop, 165th off of I.O. I don't want to, dwell too much on this one, I suppose, but it is a very good album, and the production is exceptional. As you say, it's got his typical harmonies. The drums, you can tell it's Manu Katché on them because it's just him. It's a Peter Gabriel lineup. You can tell, we've only just spoken about King Crimson, you can tell Tony Levin is on the bass, and these big sort of synth sounds and everything. It's a lot of fun. Some of the tracks are a lot of fun, and there are these really poignant moments as well. And his voice still sounds excellent.
Yeah.
The reason why it's not higher is because as he has gotten older, I think some of his songwriting it's not as excellent and majestic, I suppose the word I'm looking for, as it once was. It's not as weird in a good way as it once was. There are some predictable choices lyrically throughout the album, stuff that sort of make you go, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit cheesy. I understand the sentiment. You've had a very long career. We don't know how much more music is going to come out of this man. And I'm not saying it's the last thing he's ever going to make, but there are themes about life and aging and everything that do feel slightly like we're wrapping it up now.
Yeah.
And so I get it. But as I say, there are certain lyrics and things which do just make me go, where did the sort of proggy inventiveness go? It's lacking a bit.
Yeah.
But it still sounds excellent. But as I say, lyrically and songwritingly, there are some tracks that are a bit cheesy, a bit dull because of it.
Yeah.
And I suppose I just hold all of his other stuff in such high experimental, loud to quiet, the changes. I hold it in such a high standard that maybe it's very difficult to wait such a long time for your favourite artist to make new music and not feel disappointed anywhere.
Of course.
It's very difficult.
Yeah.
But you're right in that I'm really glad I can still, with confidence now, still put it within the top 200. That makes me happy. Still.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah.
So it's still very listenable. So is still my number one album of all time. There you go.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give you 2 points.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, he probably played that one live.
He definitely
and
did.
Probably that's completely flipped out the memory bank.
Well, that's okay. I wasn't sort of saying, "Oh, you were there live," sort of go, "Haha, you idiot,
you silly Billy."
It was more so just, guess what? You actually heard this one. Well, hey,
you might recognise it. Do
exactly.
You? I don't know if I do.
I think it's one of my favourites off the album. There are a couple of very funky numbers off there, and this is the funkiest, I would say.
Okay.
The most danceable track off the album. Right. This was a sad man with a guitar.
Sure. If your concept of sadness equates to this, yeah, sure.
I should clarify, I am now talking about Chris's Extract. It's not Sazomba Peter Gabriel. He's had his sad moments, but I'd say all in all, he's probably quite a happy man.
Probably.
But Chris's number 7 was a sad man with a guitar. And I don't know which one. because it's not a voice I recognise, and I fear I'm going to get annoyed with the answer. But I said Wilco.
Okay.
I said Rose Parade,
Mm-hmm.
1997, folk rock, 96th.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say, don't beat yourself up too much. Wilco's a very good guess.
Okay, thank you.
What I've heard of them, they aren't too dissimilar from
Thank you.
this sort of thing. But this is Elliott Smith.
It's either or. He's done it. He's listened to either or. You told me. You've told me you would. Yeah. The other sad guitar man next to Nick Drake. They're often compared, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, I feel like they are sort of American and English counterparts in certain ways. I think we'll get into it in a bit. I'll do the answer.
Mm-hmm.
As you say, it's called Rose Parade. Indie rock, alt rock were the genres I would have given you. Folk rock, yeah, fair.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
1997. You bang on. This is either or. I've got it at number 155.
Mm-hmm.
I like his stuff. I've listened to a couple of his albums, but it's not the sort of style that's I think, God, this is brilliant, because I think when you're listening to Elliott Smith, you realise that, and this is not to say a lot of his stuff sounds similar, because it's not, but he has his own style.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's very indicative when you get into him. You think, okay, this is what he does.
Sure.
Okay. And again, that's not a bad thing. I get it's on my top still. I clearly like it. I've started this making it sound like I really don't like it. I do. I've listened to this and his self-titled one.
More like neither nor, am I right? I hate this guy.
They're both very good. I take a lot of enjoyment out of them. I presumed you would probably guess Elliott Smith for this one for some reason. So
now I know. I know. I got to expect it.
That's the thing. Yeah, I was going to say that once you've heard one Elliott Smith, you can probably gauge when it is another Elliott Smith song. Similar to Nick Drake, I think this is something that we've talked about in that. I think a lot of his more sort of backed songs, in terms of instruments and stuff, they don't hit the same as like Pink Moon, for example, when he's just sort of him and a guitar and maybe one other instrument. Okay. And I think that can be said to some extent for Elliott Smith. I mainly say that because my favourite song of his is Say Yes, and that is just him and a guitar. But I don't think it detracts from it. I think it's clear that it's not trying to be pristine, and a lot of the sort of drum, like the drum kit is recorded in, I'm not going to say not a professional way, because that's wrong. I'm going to say it's not been recorded like really, really well. Like it's a good recording, but it has that sort of that lo-fi-ness that sort of works with his style, and I think that's really good. Yeah, I mean, I haven't delved too deep into the lyrics just yet. I'm just sort of getting into him.
I'm sure there's a lot of sadness.
I think there is a lot of sadness. Yeah, a lot of sad sort of scenarios. I feel as well. It feels like he does sort of paint a sad picture with his music, with how he sings and what he sings about. The trumpeter's clearly been drinking because he's effing up every single line or whatever. You just feel like you're in like a dodgy nightclub and he's in like a band or whatever, and it's just really dingy. And,
yes, dingy's a good word. Yeah.
So as I say, paint. I feel like it's with his image painting that he really excels in. I think that's for a lot of people, that's how they connect to music a lot, because they don't necessarily want to listen too deep within the lyrics, or aren't massively into the music to the point where they overanalyze a lot of things like maybe we do. They just like the surface sort of stuff, and if you paint a certain picture within your music, I think that's very easy for people to latch onto and build a sort of cult following, which I feel like someone like Elliott Smith has.
Oh, definitely, 100%.
Yeah, that's what I think. He's good. This was one of my favourites off of Either Or as well. Just the guitar sort of pew, 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 is nice.
I did like that,
And I think I'm not sure what capo it's on. It might be capo 3.
You nerd. Capo 4's the way to go.
I can't tell. I'm trying to picture it in my head because the first chord is D position, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Because you hear him take off the F sharp on the top E string.
God, we need to get out more.
It's really sad. I'm gonna leave it at that before I scare any more females off. I'll give you 3 points for that.
That's the highest score I've got so far. Thank you. So it's another one that Chris has beaten me to, folks. He's got to Elliott Smith before I have.
I mean, that's up to you. It depends on if you want to leave your list or not. You have beaten me to a few others, I will say. You beat me to the Animal Collective. You beat me to Mount Erie. This was
like 2 years ago or something.
Mount Erie you listened to first as well. Neutral Milk Hotel, I'm pretty sure you listened to that before I did.
Oh, okay, maybe. Yeah, I might have done that.
You beat me to a lot of stuff, so do give yourself credit where it's due.
I'm normally quite slow off the draw, I suppose. Well, I have become in my old age. I'm 22. But yes.
You're so old, man. What the hell? It's me next. I shouldn't pick up my water in anticipation of you saying something, because I am the one
Not just yet, yes.
I am the one who has to guess. Let me refresh my mind. Didn't really know who this was. Mm-hmm. I'm not proud of my guess.
Okay.
But I just put a name, or I can imagine that this is the sort of music he might write later on in his career. Mm-hmm. It doesn't sound like him though. So maybe, I don't know, if maybe he's done production on it.
Sure.
I guess David Bowie. Mm-hmm. Again, doesn't sound like David Bowie. So
you've had your David Bowie mishaps before.
I have. I very much have. Speaking of have, I thought the song was called All I Have. Mm-hmm. I guess pop rock. Mm-hmm. 1996. It felt hard to gauge a year, but that's what it felt. I just said a random 154, sort of around that area.
No, I have noticed something about the answer I'm going to provide you that I will clarify very quickly. In the genre, I have said hard rock and soft rock, which, saying it out loud, I realise how stupid it is. The surrounding album, I would say, is hard rock.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
But this track in particular is definitely soft rock, right? Yeah. It's very, very mellow in a really warming, beautiful way.
Yeah.
You know how I said Book of Love is like top 3 love songs? Mm-hmm. This is there. This is also in the top 3. And then maybe In Your Eyes by Peter Gabriel. That's probably my top 3 love songs if I had to pick. In no particular order.
Yeah.
But, so this is called A Song for While I'm Away. Mm-hmm. This was released in 1973. Mm-hmm. You could have had hard rock or soft rock. Wow. 1973, which is very early not very early, but earlier in the career of a band called Thin Lizzy. And I ranked this 57th.
Oh, cool. This isn't the album with the Black Rose on, is that something
No,
else?
that which is called Black Rose.
That's a different one, I see.
No, this is, as I'm trying to go through albums that are already in my top, artists rather, that are already in my top 200, and I'm trying to complete other big albums by them.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that is Phil Lynott. Wow.
Yes, this is younger Phil Lynott. Yeah. This is before they'd quite hit, I think, he was always cool, but I don't think they'd hit the proper sort of mid-70s, early 80s guitars flashing in the music videos. Phil Lynott is the sexiest man on the planet, sort of thing. They hadn't quite hit that era yet. He was already cool, but they weren't like tough guy cool yet, sort of thing. Although they do have the song Rocker on this one, which has got lyrics like and she just flooded her big old pretty eyes and said, "Oh, I'll do anything for you, baby, because you're a rocker." It's a fantastic album. It's not long. Every track brings something. And as this is the context of this, as you know, Chris, in the past week, we found out that my dad was unwell. But initially incredibly shocking, because what the news was not good. It was really bad. But since the days have progressed, like, don't worry, the happy ending. Since the news has progressed, we have found out that even though he has a thing, he's going to be completely fine because of advancement in science and medicine and everything, which we're of course very grateful for. So he will be okay. It's just that he now lives with the thing, but he will be as he was, 2 weeks ago, sort of thing. It's completely fine.
Yeah.
But at points during this week, naturally, I've been very anxious,
of course,
and terrified, right? And it was just coincidence that in the past month, I've been working through Thin Lizzy's discography, and Thin Lizzy are one of my dad's absolute favourite bands.
Yeah.
And so not only did I already love this album, it was sort of like middling third of the 100 to 200 range initially. It's just that during this week, I've been listening to it again. I wanted to listen to it again, and also it was like, well, Dad really likes this music. I'm going to listen to it, and then I can go and see him, and we can talk about it and all of this. And so it now has this really sentimental feeling of
course,
it got me through those days, but now I attach to it my dad being strong and winning. Right? So it's a really positive feeling I have to this album. And this last track, you've got Rocker on there, which is brilliant. The opening track is fantastic. This last track is so beautiful. I think this album is probably the best his voice ever sounds on a Thin Lizzy record. It's so gorgeous. You are my life, you are my everything. It's just, the premise of the song is basically him going, this is a song, listen to this. These are the words that I wish I would say when I'm not around.
Oh, okay.
So just listen to this one again. This is what I'm thinking about you.
Yeah.
It's so gorgeous. And
listen,
then also,
Anna, hear my words. They're the words you would think I would say if there wasn't me for you.
which is from
Anna Ang.
There you go.
They Might Be Giants.
There you go.
Which we played a couple of whiteboard games ago, if you remember that.
Mm-hmm. It all links, folks.
It's again, the music word is smaller than you think.
And okay, if I didn't love the album enough already, and I had all that context with it already, there's also this like not very well known B-side song they did, which was just of like some random like Irish folk song cover called Whiskey in the Jar. Just some random cover. It's not like their most famous song or anything.
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
No. I think there was a documentary about Phil Lynott actually a couple of weeks ago on television. There was a documentary a couple of weeks ago on television about Phil Lynott, who of course is no longer with us. Sadly, died very young. And they were talking about this album, Vagabonds of the Western World, and great title. Also very typical album art. If you do look it up, it's like so of the era. It's so painfully of the era. But it works. And you sort of get the other band members there talking about it, going, and the producer says, "Oh, you should cover Whiskey in the Jar." And it's sort of like, what? Like that old folk song? That old Irish folk? Really? And the rest is history.
Wow.
I love how unapologetically Irish Phil Lynott always was. Yeah. And the fact that that is their most popular song is a statement to that, I think. Dad has told me many times that it was a song that they, at a certain point, refused to play at live shows anymore. Because it's all that everyone wanted. And they've got so many good songs otherwise. But yeah, this is a fantastic album, and now it has a fantastic story for me as well. So thanks, Dad, for introducing me to Thin Lizzy. You a real one, anyway. I'm going to give you 1 point.
Thank you
for the pop rock, because it's the poppiest track on the thing, definitely.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Now that I have splurged about that extensively enough, probably the most I had to say. It's the only one that has a story attached to it, I suppose. It's time to guess the one that when I was listening to this, I thought it was just an ambient track, and then I very faintly heard female vocals in it, and then at one point I did exclaim, "Oh, there's a woman!" Which you found amusing.
I was bemused at the fact that you hadn't heard of women before.
No,
I've seen loads. I've seen so many women.
You're so cool,
And
Chris.
so,
I just want to thank you for that time that you bought my house for me, and then you gave it to me, and also you saved a cat from the top of a tree 7 times in the same day.
Yeah, I also put out multiple fires.
Yeah.
Saved many people's houses from being robbed.
On Valentine's Day, you bought flowers for all the elderly people in sort of care homes across the capital.
Yeah. And every woman as well. Don't forget that.
Yep.
I thought, how am I going to top this next year? So I bought a flower for every woman. And now I'm introducing you to them. So, this is sort of my crowning moment, really.
And can you believe that this guy... Call him, guys. Call him. Anyway, I said, after reflection, I thought this is a bit post-rocky, maybe.
Okay.
That okay could mean many things.
Well, the thought hadn't pondered in my mind before you said that.
Oh, okay. Oh, dear. But I also said ambient, so I don't know whether that stands for anything.
You saved yourself there.
Come on! Well, I haven't saved myself otherwise. I said Sigur Rós. Equinox Mass. Felt appropriate. 2002, you know the genres. 77. 77.
Well, once again, not a bad guess, because Sigur Rós was sort of dream poppy, and this it's not really a band. This act is often associated with dream pop. I don't see it as much, but I see flickers of it in the music. You've heard of this person before.
This is worse than Elliott Smith. This is worse than you getting to Elliott Smith before me. Because I like ambient music, man. Oh,
brother, maybe the list doesn't work. Maybe you just got to do...
The list does work. You know nothing about the list. Don't you dare take it back.
This is an ambient musician called Grouper. Actually quite popular. I didn't realise how popular
Very
she
popular.
was. Yeah.
Is this a Tame Impala situation? Is it one person?
Yeah.
Grouper's one person, guys. Grouper's one person.
I'm pretty sure a lady called Liz Harris who makes some banging ambient music. Moon is Sharp is the name of it. This is the first track off of the album in question. Ambient indie folk is what I put. Dream pop, you could have also put 2011. This is I think it's the highest rated album for 2011 on.
Wow, I know she, I suppose, is really well loved. Yeah,
which is why it sort of drew me to it. When you see something that popular, you think it's got, you've sort of got to listen to it, right?
Yeah.
You have no choice. 122 was a position I put this. This is from her album AIA: Alien Observer. I think AIA is meant to be like a double, well, not like a traditional double album, but she's got 2 albums called AIA, and then, a different name for it. But yeah, I mean, it's not too long, under 40 minutes. I think what really drew me to it when I was listening to it is how a little bit like the Elliott Smith one, she paints a picture with her music. I think the sounds that she uses, it's very ambient, but at the same time you think like it's not just sort of ambient sounds here, and it feels very meticulous. It feels like she's really got a sound here. It's quite lo-fi. That adds to it a lot, I think. Her voice is very muffled and in the background.
Yeah, 100%.
I think she's singing about love. I've looked at the lyrics, and that's what it gauges me as. But dream pop, and I think that's quite common in a lot of dream pop stuff. I think this is one of the ones I like the most. I think the vague chord progression you can make out from it is, I thought it was good. Another one of the ones where if you sort of know the gig, you get that throughout. But if you like it, then you like it, obviously. And that's exactly what's happened here. But she does it very well, and seeing as she's incredibly well loved, and it's not just this album that's liked a lot. I'll probably, because I feel like a lot of time you might get a band who they have one massive album and then you think, oh, I really like it, I might listen within their discography, and then you think, oh, it's not really for me. A lot of our stuff's really popular, so
yes, yeah,
I'll have to listen to a lot more of this. But no, yeah, I liked it a lot when I first got to it. I'm not going to try to say too much more because of time.
I have got a job to get to. This is not Chris's fault. This is both of us.
Yeah. So I'll leave it there for now. But I'll say you have a point.
A point.
Well done.
This has been a very dodgy game for me. I'll be honest with you.
I think it's been all over the place for both of us.
It's been very interesting, though.
Of course, yeah.
It always is.
Not always about the points, as we say.
No, I think we're calming down a bit, maybe.
We're going through all of the stages of grief.
Yes, this is acceptance.
This
we're entering acceptance here.
So, let me remind myself of this one of yours. This was, I do believe this is Spoon.
Spoon.
A band you do like. Another singer, I'm not sure is his name, the main guy, but do enlighten me if you do know.
Britt Daniel.
Cool.
2 first names, always a bit suspect. But
yeah, you thought Daniels maybe? No, just Daniel.
Just Daniel.
Okay.
No.
Quite a recognisable voice,
very,
I think, you've
very.
gotten. Is Love Forever, I guess, was the name of the track. Indie rock, 2012. I can't really gauge their years. I feel like they're around that sort of time. I'm not too sure. And I guess number 126.
We are so back. He's got 5 points, ladies
Really?
and gentlemen. He's got 5 points.
What the hell?
This is Spoon. See, I'm not even mad. I'm proud.
You should be mad. No, I'm joking.
No, I don't care anymore. I've got a job to get to. Spoon, Is Love Forever, 2010. Indie rock or experimental rock. This is why I've chosen it. 125th.
Wow.
Transference.
I see.
Current favourite Spoon album, and it will stay that way, I think. I prefer it over Gar 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 Gar, 5 Gars.
Is that the... I want to say it's mostly orange. Gar 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 Gar.
No, that is Lucifer on the Sofa. Gar 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 is like the sort of black and white still of him in like a rehearsal space or something.
Oh, okay.
The title in red over the front of it. Is it the title of Spoon? I can't remember.
I don't know. You can tell I know very little about Spoon.
Well, I think there's a slight chance I might be able to convince you to know more with this album.
Okay.
I have seen a lot of people sort of saying this is the weird Spoon album, and that's because the production of it. This album is all about the production, because when people talk about Spoon, you think very crisp, very well executed. The production's always pristine, and what drives it is some really sort of clever songwriting and some really, heavy grooves and things like this. Some really just well-polished, upper-class indie rock, right?
Yeah.
This is still indie rock and stuff, but this is where you get an introduction of sort of synthy sounds and things, but the production is so weird. And I think a lot of people have tried to come up with why. I think it's because people view this album as being the most blunt that the songwriting ever gets.
Okay.
That's sort of about love and breakups and all of this.
Yeah.
And transference, it might mean something about a transference of emotions or feelings. Like the production stuff has to be intentional. Why is this one so weird? And I'm not like overdoing this. There are tracks in here where there is like just panning the whole way through for no reason.
Wow.
But like Beatles style panning, so panning from about 50 years ago.
Yeah.
You've got Is Love Forever, when you get the vocals really oddly sampled throughout this one, where they start echoing and feeding back into each other. There's a track called The Mystery Zone, which just stops at the end. There's no fade out, no nothing. It's just sort of like mid-outro, and you sort of get The Mystery Zone, do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do, and that's the end of the song.
Yeah. It's fun.
This album also has my favourite Spoon song, which I don't know if you remember.
Who Makes Your Money?
Who Makes Your Money?
Yeah, it's so good.
It's excellent.
Yeah. Boom, boom, boom.
Yes. Such a groove. And, this album could have been full of like big radio hits.
Yeah.
Like proper indie rock stuff. But because of the production, it purposefully like shoots itself in the knees, sort of thing. it stops itself from getting this massive cult. I mean, I suppose it does have a cult following, but like public following, this public success. You've got like Shoulda Come Running. Is that what it's called? Something like that. Something about running. I can't quite remember. I do know this album well, which could have been a massive radio hit, but the vocals are so far back in the mix and so muffled.
Mm-hmm.
The choices are so strange, and I think you will probably get more out of that than me if you do choose to listen to it. Like, if you do listen to it, do it with a good pair of headphones, sort of thing, because then you can pick up on the panning and everything. It's one of the first albums that I've listened to that I take as much interest from the music as I do the production, because I haven't got that production brain, I suppose. I do a bit, but definitely not as much as you. But because of that, and also because it's still got writing on there, like Who Makes Your Money.
Yeah.
And this one, I love this one as well, is Love Forever. It is my favourite of theirs. And it's good. Stop underrating it. Just because it's weird doesn't make it bad. It gives it more appeal, in my opinion.
Yeah.
5 points. Congratulations.
Thank you. Well, that's very fortunate.
Not fortunate. You use good logic. You recognise the voice. I do like his voice.
He's got a very nice voice, doesn't he?
Okay. So, again, this was another female vocal. Well, two vocalists, so a female vocalist in there. I didn't know where to go, so I've gone off the sound of the instruments, and it's like Midwest emo sounding. So I said American Football. They said Uncomfortably Numb, which did make me chuckle.
Yeah.
I've already slated Pink Floyd. I feel like it's wrong of me to bring them up.
I know you like Pink Floyd a lot. It's just
I really like Pink Floyd. They're just not Genesis.
It's not Genesis.
So I said American Football, Uncomfortably Numb. I think it's a newer album, especially because I don't recognise it. So I said 2020.
Okay.
Midwest emo. For the second time this game, I've gone Slap Bang 150th.
Okay. Well, you've got 4 points.
Oh, I thought maybe back to back. I don't know.
The only one you're off with was the position.
We've matched 125th.
Oh yes! Wow.
Yeah.
Dang. This was American Football. It was, as you say, Uncomfortably Numb. I think this was.
It's not quite a cover, is it? I didn't match all the lyrics.
It's not a cover. It's an entire. I presume it was just. I think the guy's name is Mike Kinsella.
Yes, Mike Kinsella.
I presume you went, yo guys, wouldn't it be cool if we made a song called Uncomfortably Numb, based off of Comfortably Numb? I presume that's probably how it came about, but it is sort of about, I guess, becoming numb, maybe through like drinking or maybe even drugs, and being sort of uncomfortable with that, not really sort of feeling settled, I guess. Cool sentiment. The female singer is Hayley Williams, is that her name? Of Paramore, yes, indeed.
Wow.
I'm just going to
it's increasingly a smaller world. Increasingly a smaller world.
Is it Hayley Williams? Yeah, it's Hayley Williams. It is
very
a small
powerful
world, yeah.
vocalist in her own.
She is,
right?
yeah. She's got a very good voice. Indie rock, slacker rock, Midwest emo. Would have given you a lot of different things. 2019, this is their third LP.
Which you believe is underrated?
The second one is the one that I believe is underrated. Number 125. Now, I will say that I do think that this is better than LP2.
Okay.
The main reason I say LP2 is underrated because some people slate that album ad infinitum, and I don't think it's that bad. I think LP3 is definitely better. I think it's got it's probably got more of a holistic sound. I think the sound is also interesting to the point of where it feels more sort of washed out. It's more not more like more ambient, but it feels quite reflective of the cover actually. Okay, which is sort of like a washed out sort of image of some sort of skyline, I guess. Yes, I think I remember it. Yeah, some nice songs on there. I do think it's very good. And people do rate this one. They do think that it is better than LP2, but I just like to say LP2, it's not as bad as you think, man. Give it a chance. There's some slappers on there. My Instincts Are the Enemy is a great American Football song. It's really good.
Nothing's ever going to be LP1. Don't expect it to be LP1.
They're never going to get to that level again. It's too high. So just accept it. I don't have too much to say about it, and it's probably for the best if we got to shoot off. I'm just going to say, I planned to get over all American football stuff because I liked them. Yeah. And I have done.
There you go.
I don't regret it. There's some good stuff there.
Excellent. Well, they've got a very complete sound, haven't they?
They do, yeah. I do think one thing they got right when they came back was they had a sound.
Yes.
A sound that was theirs, and it didn't really feel like they were still trying to find out what it was. It felt like they were pretty much there. And I think they do advance on that with LP3. But I do think they get it down on LP2, which I think quite a lot of people disagree with me when I say that. But I do think they did.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll get to them soon enough, and I can confirm whether you're right or not. There you go.
It's a sound that feels like it pays homage to their, much younger American football days, but still being something new and something they clearly, care about. And it just sounds good.
I think paying homage whilst also making something new is a very valid way to progress as a musician.
Of course,
to be
honest. Moving on to your number 9.
Number 9.
Didn't really recognise it. I thought I zero gauge for it, so I sort of came up with my own gauge for it, and it's probably not right, but it's the one that I'm most happy with. It was a very ambient one you gave, a very weird ambient, sort of like
very strange ambient.
Not really tonal.
Yes.
So I guess Aphex Twin. I guess number 18 in homage to his Selected Ambient Works Volume 2.
Yes.
Because I thought it might be something off of there. Ambient 1996, number 173.
There's 2 points.
Thank you.
2 points. I think, again, luckily for us, I don't have much to say about this other than, once again, apologising. This is another YouTube one. But one that really surprised me with how much I liked it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, not too long ago, I trekked out to Notting Hill in the rain to see a friend playing music. And the journey was hellish for various reasons. Construction, train delays, blah, 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 blah. And I chose to listen to this on the way. And it was only when I sort of calmed down the panic of when I'm actually going to get there on time and all this. Yeah. And I tuned into what was playing through my headphones and went, hang on, wait a minute, this has been going the whole time? This is great! Yeah. This is by, I think, a person called Supreme Particles.
Supreme Particles.
Cool name.
Yeah.
Sector B, it's in 4 sectors, the album. They all sort of blend into each other. 1999... ambient new age or field recordings. There's a lot of natural noise going on.
Yoshimura style.
Yes, a bit, yeah. But as we said when we were talking about it, Yoshimura, but maybe he's taking something a bit psychedelic. He's having a bit of a dark episode.
He's having his late Beatles era.
Yes. Dark Yoshimura, yes. 135th, so quite high. Album called Lighter Than Skin. I think this is actually music for an installation.
Oh.
And a cool installation at that, because I think it was used for a corridor in an airport somewhere in Europe. I'm not sure where.
I see.
And so as you walk along it, you hear this stuff. To be alive in 99 to have experienced that, hey? But I genuinely don't know much else to say other than this is another banger of an ambient release I found. Cool. Which is a good thing. I don't have much to say because we've got to our last 2 each. And that normally means those are the ones we have more to say about. I'm not yet late. That's what I will say. I'm not yet late to leave, so we're doing okay. But 2 points.
Thank you.
It's the most. I've already entered it. Most intense end to a game we've ever had.
I feel like it's always weird when we get some. Well, it's a 90s album. And did you say it was YouTube Core? Or?
Yes, it was.
It always feels a bit weird when it's. But then again, you get a lot of maybe just because it's ambient that it weirds me out.
Possibly. It is one of those random ones that there's not even any sort of sections in it or chapters or anything. It's just one 40-minute or 50-minute long video. I was just but there's something in my brain when I see that and I go, we found something here, folks. I've dived deep for this one. We found something special, and very often it is.
Oh, yeah.
Right, I had no reference point for Chris's final one, other than it was one of the strangest things he's ever given me. It sounded like 2 or 3 songs that were mashed together without consideration for how they would blend. That's not to say it sounded bad. It just sounded incredibly disjunct.
Thin ice there. Yeah.
No, I'm not insulting it. I'm saying, not in a bad way, it sounded very disjunct.
Okay.
There was a lot of, not clashing tonally, but suddenly you were like in another meter.
Yeah.
And then, you're back into this. And then, okay, we're here now. So I just went for a name I know, but don't know what they sound like. Mm-hmm. I said Stereolab. If I've Hail Married that, kiss me. I said Ascending, I don't know, 96, Freak Folk or Experimental Pop.
Fascinating.
Oh dear. 104th.
I've used another They Might Be Giants song. This is the outro to their 1992 album Apollo 18, and it's called Spacesuit.
We might need to VAR this, guys. Is he allowed to do it? Yeah, he's allowed to do
it. To be honest, the genres were quite... I'll give you experimental pop.
That's very generous. Thank you.
I put electro, jazz, indie rock and electronic, but I'm looking back now, I think it's not actually that electronic. They're just using guitars, and I think Linnell's playing his accordion. This is... this might be... Apollo 18 might be my favourite end to They Might Be Giants album.
So you're going to say album ever? I was going to go, wow.
No, I mean, it is really good, and I might say that if it grows on me. But the reason I love it so much is because the last 2 songs are probably the most unique in They Might Be Giants' discography to what I've listened to so far.
Well, I mean, from the much smaller amount I've listened to vicariously through you, it's definitely unique. Yes. I'll say that.
So the penultimate song, I'm not sure if you remember, I think we've talked about this. It's like a 4-minute song, but it's entirely medleys of like 5 to 20 second songs.
Yes, which is really cool.
It's really fun, and there's a lot of interesting stuff on there. I found it amusing that they didn't make so much of an attempt to connect the few things.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it would just stop and then another song would come in.
Yes.
Which is still cool. I like it a lot. And what
See,
I found...
had I known this context, I wouldn't have been so jarred by it.
And what I found very amusing is they did, I think they did a Tiny Desk in around 2010 sort of time, like back when it just started. And they did a couple of their newer songs, which was cool. And then they did like a whole rendition of...
Fantastic.
Of the medley song. I'll give it its name. It's called Fingertips.
Okay.
They did a whole rendition of that, and it was really good.
Yeah.
They did it really well. And then you get this song, the outro song, and it's like, this is only about a minute 30. It's not long at all. You think, what the hell did this come from?
What's going on?
I know that Apollo 18 is sort of a darker They Might Be Giants album, but this come out of nowhere. This is entirely alien.
It's funny, Apollo 18.
Exactly,
alien.
Yeah. Well, it was sort of around that time where they were announced as the official spokespeople for NASA or something like that, I think. Again, they were massive. Like, they were big. Well, maybe not massive, but they were very popular around the early 90s. It feels easy to forget that, given it feels like they more so came and went.
Yeah.
But yeah, this I felt this song switches between different sections. You've got the and then the bit which I call the sort of Professor Layton sort of bit. It's like the it reminds me a lot of Professor Layton.
If you're watching Professor Layton, what's wrong with me?
Yeah, I just think it's so clever, and it is clear that at this point they've got full control of the production, because it's
makes a change.
It's as weird as their songwriting, which is really cool. Just clever, man. It's so like they managed to make it sound so different from a lot of the other stuff while still using the instruments they normally would. Like I'm pretty sure at the beginning of the extract with the I'm pretty sure that is his accordion, just cut up very sort of
that makes
slightly.
a lot of sense. Yeah,
that's the thing. They managed to do so much with like the instruments they just normally play.
Give musicians the freedom to innovate, and funnily enough,
they
will.
It, yeah. Especially when they might be giants.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll leave it there. I don't want to speak too much, but I hope that this array of They Might Be Giant songs has piqued your interest. And maybe, who knows, maybe you'll listen to them sooner than I presume you will.
Well, the issue is, I would love to, but then if I'd listen to them sooner rather than later, I am using my time to listen to a band you already know, whilst you're using your time to listen to things like Elliott Smith and Grouper to catch me off guard again. So if you stop doing that, then maybe I'll get a chance.
Well, if I listen to bands I already listened to, I might not catch you off guard.
Well, until next time. But wait, we're not done yet.
We've got one more. And this one, let me see what I put for this one.
Was it, how many points was that, sorry?
You got 2 points.
2 points, thank you very much.
Yeah, next one. Okay, yeah. Unsure. I've put a band I'm happy with, but it was quite weird.
It is very weird, yes.
Was it recorded in reverse?
How do you mean?
Like, as in, like, he's recorded it, reversed it, and then learned how to sing it in reverse.
Oh no,
then,
no, that's just the guy's.
That's just
how the person's voice.
Just how his voice sounds. Okay. It was a bit weird. There are a few points of reference I had for this, and the one I went with was Neutral Milk Hotel, mainly because it sounded a little bit like Jeff Mangum, mainly in the fact that he was a bit pitchy. Probably sounds quite bad, but so I presume that maybe you'd listen to some of their other stuff. I guess the song was called "What Cannot Be," indie rock, 2003, number 163.
What did we say the range for the top rankings were
for 2000?
No, like the ranking in the.
Oh, okay. I think we said it was between 5 or 7. I think. Should we say 7? Or how far am I away?
Well,
and then I will decide.
No.
Well,
depending on what you choose, you may or may not get the point. This is it.
Oh, okay.
I'll let you decide.
Yeah.
I'm not going to decide.
Well, I was going to say 7 anyway.
Well, then say 7.
Okay. But yeah, if I say 7, it's like, well, now you've just told me to, give myself a point. But
I don't mind.
7.
Okay, cool. Well, it's good you say that because you got 1 point.
Oh dear.
No, but it's good that you said Neutral Milk Hotel, because Neutral Milk Hotel are very often the band compared.
Oh.
Here. A lot of people draw a parallel to this album and In the Aeroplane Over the Sea.
Yeah.
And a lot of people get quite offended by that, I've seen. So, this is the weirdest one on my list. But it's not YouTube core, so don't worry. You may even recognise the cover, you might not. I don't know how well known it is, really. Although I did find it off the interwebs. So, it must be somewhat well known.
Yeah.
Jordan Mason and the Horse Museum.
Oh.
Bird's Nest. 2009, Chamber Folk or Anti-Folk,
Okay.
and 157th. Mental album cover, mental title, Divorce Lawyers, I Shaved My Head.
I don't recognise this, no. It
Ridiculous.
is a mental cover, yeah.
Now, what I will say, I'll try and keep all of these points as brief as possible. For me, this is like a top 10 difficult listen album.
Wow.
This is tough. It's really bleak. And I listened to it at a time where now, retrospectively, I can look back and go, God, why did this album linger on my mind so much? And then I realised, I perhaps wasn't in as nice a place as I was now. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That's why perhaps... It's not that it's poignant, and I'll explain why it's not necessarily poignant to me. It's the first piece of art that I've ever encountered that confronts directly a and I don't know how much to say about this because I don't know if it's like it affects the rating of the podcast or something. It directly confronts transgender, transsexual life.
Yeah.
Jordan Mason identifies as a they, I believe.
Oh, I see.
As far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
And it's an album about the pain, the suffering, the sadness, the bleakness within trying to love as that, and then that love failing within that kind of life, within that mode of existence. And there's some beautifully crafted metaphors that are really complex, to the point that I'm having to genius lyrics and stuff because I need someone else's interpretation to get me started. Some really beautifully poignant moments where certain lyrics are zoomed in on, certain concepts are zoomed in on. Sometimes the tempo picks up and you're just like, why am I swaying to something this sad sort of thing? And I think one of the toughest bits about this album is how visceral, and understandably so, how visceral intimacy is described.
Right.
It's not that you get the words necessarily. Sometimes you do, to do with intimacy. But the descriptions are so like, and that's because it's confusing. Heavy. It's confusing for the singer themselves and the singer's partner. They can't translate what they're experiencing, so why should they try and dress it up as anything other than the best way they can put it? And how jarring it is for them. If it's horrible for them, it's not going to be as it's horrible to listen to as a listener, but it's nowhere near what they've experienced, right? I'm really grateful I found it because it's the first time I've had this experience of I don't have any framework to base transgender living in my personal life. I don't know anyone. And this is so blunt at times. Of course, I'm not suddenly an expert. That's not at all what I'm saying. But it's nice to have a perspective I've never really had before. I think it feels very poignant, and I can understand why it feels like it's very popular. Not like massively mainstream at all, exactly,
but like to like a certain group
massive
of people.
Cult following, huge cult following.
I'd imagine so.
By the looks of things, anyway. There are some moments throughout the album that you just sort of go, oh, when like there's one lyric where they keep saying, I want to have a word with you, which sounds like I want to have an argument. We already know this relationship is rocky. But then I've seen like written snippets of an interview they did where the explanation is more so it's just wanting to be able to refer to our relationship as something, to have a word for it. But because we don't even necessarily know how to identify ourselves, what word do we use? We don't have a word together. I'm in a relationship. I'm saying this as me. I can call myself a boyfriend and a girlfriend, right? What do other people call themselves? I want to have a word with you. We can't even identify ourselves. And you very rarely get that inside perspective that intimately, I think. This song is the opening track. This is the last thing I'll say. It has one of the hardest hitting opening lines I've ever heard. When you know what's going on, it is like someone is just punching you over and over again.
From what you've said, it does feel like it's sort of one zinger of a sentence after another.
Because there's no hiding behind anything. It's just, this is how I feel, and you're going to listen to me say it.
Completely unapologetic.
But that's all I've got time for.
Wow.
That's all I'm going to say. It's a very hard listen, but in a similar way perhaps to something like A Crow Looked at Me. I think a really important one. So if you want to have another perspective on an experience that not all of us will have ever, I recommend it.
Okay,
and I'll say 1 point.
Thank you.
1 point.
Very heavy ends to the whiteboard game.
Sorry. No, but it's okay. We'll make it light again. I'm doing tuition work, guys. Let's do some points tallies.
God, guys, what's the deal with airline food? Am I right?
Am I right? You know, Chris went to Madrid. Oh, what a nice time he had. It was very rainy. It's raining now. His weather experience was almost the same as it was here in England. There you go. Yep. Sorry.
Oh, what the hell? We got to leave the house soon. Oh.
But immediately.
I've got my umbrella. It's fine.
Okay. I think I have a score.
Okay, I do believe I have one. I'm just going to double check.
Yes. I think you may have taken that. I'm not sure if I've won a recorded version.
I don't know.
I'm not going to cry about it.
Hopefully you will now.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. 3, 2, 1. Boom.
Oh.
It's another Chris W. But deserved. Very deserved.
I wouldn't say that.
Very deserved.
It's always very close. And I think when it's close, it's never really deserved, is it? It's always
No.
just sort of one team edging.
Well, you're the
the
only
other.
one who got a 5-pointer.
No, you got a 4-pointer as well. That's pretty good. I mean, I got one to start with, but
Ultimately, I did do better.
sort of leaving less credence to my whatever. It was very close. Yeah, and I'm glad it was. I'm glad it is.
I'm glad it is.
Yeah.
I always very much enjoy the tops of the games. As we said, it's an opportunity to see how each other's styles have developed or tastes rather, have developed over the last few months. And it should be close, really, because you start to gauge what each person likes.
We've got a good understanding of each other's musical tastes. So, yeah. We won't keep stuff too long. We're going to wrap up basically now. We've got to go basically right now. So,
I don't know what I'm going to do.
So we'll say, shall we, is there anything else left to say?
If you're interested in around Soho, Spice of Life, 14th of April, we'll be performing. Come along if you want to. There's no pressure.
Well, I suppose that's the last thing to say. So if there's nothing left to say...
And GG Chris.
GG Chris. Game. Well... This might be the quickest...
it might be the quickest ever.
Whiteboard game. For